Well, I got some breaking cruise news. The CDC just came out and said fat people, regardless of your vaccine status, you should not cruise. What the heck? And it's not just fat people. It's old people and other people. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Lido, Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with your breaking cruise news. Well, big shout out to my mom. I was napping, actually. I'll be transparent. I was napping, and she called me, and she said, did you see what the CDC said? And I said, I did not. And she said that there's some new restrictions for people, whether they're vaccinated or not, when it comes to cruising. I'm like, all right, well, let me go check that out. And sure enough, there are some new things when it comes to cruising. I'm going to jump into the computer and show you exactly what I am talking about. All right, let's jump. Here we go. This is the COVID-19 and cruise ship travel page. Level 3, high level of COVID. They're tracking COVID on cruise ships. We've talked a few times about the list, the color-coded list that will show you which cruise ships actually have COVID. I will leave a link above to that video, which walks you through how to go through that webpage. But here it is. Summary of recent changes. August the 20th, 2021, updated the notice to recommended travelers who are at increased risk for severe illness during cruise ship travel, regardless of vaccination status. What does that mean? Well, let's go down. We go down a few bullet points here. People with an increased risk of severe illness should also avoid travel on cruise ships, including river cruises, regardless of vaccine status. We're going to go through the list of severe illness, this hyperlink here, but let me just tell you what's happened. Delta variant. Thanks, man. Thank you, Delta variant. Before the Delta variant, the guidance was as long as you were vaccinated, you should do okay if you're on a cruise ship, because there wasn't a lot of breakthrough cases. We weren't seeing a lot of vaccinated people get, severely ill. And so the guidance from the CDC was that as long as you were vaccinated, there really weren't any restrictions for why you would go on a cruise ship. Cruise travel was fine for vaccinated people. Now we have this, don't do it if you have the increased risk of severe illness. So if you click on it, it talks about how they categorize severe illness, older adults, people with medical conditions, pregnant and recently pregnant people. And then as you click into those hyperlinks, they will give you a list, and they're not in any particular order of importance. I think they're in alphabetical order. So let's go. Here we go. Medical condition in adults: cancer, chronic kidney disease, chronic lung disease, including COPD, asthma, pulmonary hypertension, cystic fibrosis, lung disease, dementia or other neurological conditions, diabetes type 1 or type 2, Down syndrome, heart conditions such as heart failure, coronary artery disease, HIV infection, immunocompromised state, that's someone with a weakened immunity system, liver disease, overweight, and obesity. This is me. Obviously, I know that I'm obese. And what's cool is you got some categorization inside of obesity. You're just considered overweight if your BMI is between 25 and 30. You're considered obese if your BMI is between 30 and 40, or you're severely obese if it is greater than 40. I would be considered severely obese. And you might be more likely to get severely ill from COVID. The risk of severe COVID-19 illness increases sharply with elevated BMI. Pregnancy, sickle cell disease, smoking, current or former. No smokers on the cruise is what the CDC is recommending. Solid organ or blood stem cell transplant, stroke or cerebral or vascular disease, substance use disorders. And then there's information on children's and teens. I just realized we didn't talk about the age. I'm editing now. I just realized we didn't talk about the age groups. Let me kick it back over to the computer and show you this. Increased risk of severe illness from COVID-19. Talks about older adults. The risk increases for people in their 50s, increases in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. People 85 and older are most likely to get very sick. It's not super, it doesn't lay it out specifically what age group they're talking about with cruising. So you hit this older adults and then you kind of have to dig into it. But I'm not sure what the age group is that they're saying you should not cruise, but they're just saying the older people. And so when you dig into it, the severity of illness from COVID, I start to see this 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. But again, I think the average age for cruisers back in 2018, 2019 was 48. So most everybody is in that range. I do know that I've seen some statistics lately on breakthrough where the breakthrough was 65 or older. Well, that's a lot, and certainly my head is spinning, and I do have some comments about what may be coming next. But first, let me quickly invite you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. We just hit 115,000 subscribers. Thank you guys. We're trying to get to that next milestone. Please subscribe. Thank you in advance. Look, I've looked at this enough to pretty much understand why these recommendations come down this way. The last thing that you want on the cruise ship is someone to have severe COVID, somebody that requires a ventilator or hospitalization in the middle of the sea. And I'm assuming that's the scenario that the CDC is trying to prevent with these recommendations. We're seeing more and more breakthrough cases, people that have gotten the vaccine but have now contracted the virus. And while most people end up with asymptomatic cases or mild cases of COVID, people that were listed in these groups have shown to get severe COVID in that situation. And again, the last place you want severe COVID is on the high seas. And so this is why there are the protocols for the unvaccinated at high risk for getting severe COVID, and then people on this list, even though they are vaccinated, at severe risk for getting COVID. It is what it is. It's a challenge. It will be interesting to see if the cruise lines make some sort of protocols around people based on these guidelines. Again, they're recommendations. They're not mandates. And so it will be interesting to see if those do become some sort of protocol on the cruise line. It affects me because I'm supposed to cruise to Alaska in 22 days, and I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to get out of the obese category in 22 days. It gives me a lot to think of. What happens if I get a breakthrough case? What if I become infected and all of a sudden I become severely ill? If I'm on a cruise ship between Seattle and Alaska, while I think Seattle and Alaska probably have perfectly fine medical facilities, if all of a sudden I get severely ill in the middle of the sea along the way, what happens then? I know the cruise lines have increased protocols, but do they have full-on capacity to take care of a bunch of people that may need a ventilator or something like that? So it's a lot to think about. It will be interesting to see how the cruise lines respond. Yeah, there you go. That's the new guidance from the CDC. What do you think? That's a big list. It seems like there's going to be a lot of cruisers on that list. Let's talk about that in the comments. Thank you so much for checking out the Breaking Cruise News. Please hit the like button as a reward for my efforts for bringing it forth. Yeah, this is Tony with Lido, Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.